In a previous video, we saw how to create a simple app that runs on Android that allows you to view and annotate a PDF. We're going to go one step further in this video, and we're going to see how we can generate documents on the mobile device. This video was recorded in February 2026 on a Windows 11 machine using Node 20.19.4, NPM 10.5.1, OpenJDK version 17, Android Studio codename Panda. We were targeting Android 16 and I was using PDFnet version 11.9. Here's the template document that we're going to use for a fictional company called Oxner Consulting. And this is just a regular Word document in DOCX format. I can add all sorts of formatting to the document. What makes it special with regard to Apryse is that we've put in some placeholders that are marked with curly braces. When we run our application, those placeholders will be replaced with data from a JSON file based on the name of those placeholders. And here is part of one of the JSON files that we'll use. And you can see there's an invoice number and an issue date and lots of line items. It's important, though, that we specify all the values as strings. But enough of me talking. Let's actually see the app in action. The UI is not much to look at, but then I'm trying to demonstrate how to use Apryse and not how to build mobile apps. So when we click on that button, we then have a choice of files we want to load. So we'll choose one of those JSON files, and we've used that data to populate that template, and this is what we get. And you can see we have those line items and that everything has been filled in. Awesome. Now let's run the app again and choose a different file. And just as before, we're going to take the contents of that JSON file and populate the template to create a new PDF. And in this case, there's 5 line items compared to the 3 the first time. And we can download this PDF and we can email it to people and all the things you might expect to do. What's more, if we want, we can even make changes to this file. We can add annotations and so on to highlight something if we need to. Now let's see how this was implemented. I'm using Visual Studio Code, but you could use Android Studio if you prefer. The return block is actually very similar to in the previous video, in that we're returning a document view and we're passing in a document. I've also added here an option to include a button, and that's the button that we saw that you could click on that would let you choose a file. We'll see what happens when you press that button in a moment. You can see that we have more imports than we did in the previous sample, but that's because I'm allowing for a safe area and also having a file picker, and I'm going to use the React Native file system as well. We're also importing rn-pdftron from @pdftron/react-native-pdf, which is different from last time where we only used document view. The rn-pdftron object gives us access to all kinds of functionality. For example, you can get the version of the library that's in use. That's great because then it proves that rn-pdftron has correctly loaded. It can, of course, do much more than just get versions. In this case, it's taking the path to the template that we saw, a block of JSON data, and then it's creating the PDF from the Office template. Awesome. In the example you saw just now, I've created a hard-coded path to the template file, but I'm allowing you to choose where you get the JSON data from. You could, of course, do this in many other ways, and that's up to you. I'm just demonstrating one option. So here is where I'm using the file picker to select the file that I want. I'm taking the first file and I'm copying it into the application's cache folder, its sandbox, so that we can access it from the actual application code. In earlier versions of Android, we could have accessed files in many different locations on the file system, but that's no longer possible for security reasons. We now have everything we need. The template path can be hard-coded in this case, and I'm taking the path to the local file that we've just copied, and I'm extracting the JSON data from it. I can then pass that path and the JSON data to PDF from Office template, and we'll get back our resulting PDF. We then call setDocURI with that PDF, and our viewer will open it. Awesome. There's a number of things you'll need to do before this is production ready. There's no error handling in place. I wanted to keep things simple. And you'll also need to get a commercial license. but you can see how quickly we can create a powerful app that allows you to generate documents. Thank you for watching. Catch you next time.